Beyond. Brian's not here, clearly. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 442. I'm Max Scoville. Joining me, Alana Pierce.
Hey, what's up?
Marty Sleva.
Hi.
And Andrew, the lawnmower Goldfarb.
We got this Game of Thrones pinball machine that you guys know all too well, and that goddamn Game of Thrones theme song is stuck in my head at
Is that
every
why you have a
moment.
headache?
I hear it. Yeah, that probably is why I have a headache.
I'm totally an outsider here, but I hate that theme song. I hate that theme song because it does not go anywhere.
I'm fine with that theme song when I don't hear
it's
it
like a loop.
25 times a day.
Because they have to scale it for however many characters are currently dead or alive in the opening credits.
Or what
That is
city,
true.
like how many cities are in that
They're
episode.
like, oh, we're going to
keeps
add a
getting
whole
longer.
island. It's
Yeah.
just like, but like compare it to like Lord of the Rings or Skyrim, it doesn't have any sense of like up or down. It just is like, it's like a churning.
No, you're right. God,
And
the
there's a
Skyrim
point,
theme
I
song is so good.
I always think that song's about to end, and there's that extra loop, and
Yeah.
it's like, dun-dun-dun, dun, it like picks up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, welcome to Podcast Beyond, your number one podcast for people who don't like the Game of Thrones theme. If you like it, you can email us and tell us. I don't care. We got some stuff to talk about. Uncharted 4 is coming out really soon, and have we played it?
What happened to your voice?
I don't know. It's my embargo voice. I can't say much or I'll get in trouble.
If you say it in that voice, they can't get mad at you.
They absolutely can get
If
mad
you
at
break
you.
embargo in a high-pitched voice, they don't mind.
Yeah, that's,
yeah.
They're like, oh, that's really cute.
I believe that's in
See
the
Sully's
NDA.
butt cheeks in the first act.
Yes, we've played it, and I haven't played much of it. I've played about 2 hours. It's nothing more than that I can say.
Yeah.
But we have a podcast going up later this week.
Yeah, so this will go live at noon or at 1 p.m. on Wednesday. At midnight Thursday, so super early Thursday morning PT, Lucy's review of the game will go up. Oh man, was I just clicking it?
You kept tapping.
You could have just told me not to tap.
Well,
Hey, Marty,
I'm
don't
glad
tap.
we didn't derail the show or anything.
Yeah,
So when is
no,
this
it's
thing go up? Write down my swear because I'm mad.
I'm not gonna write down any swears. You just got
Yeah, so anyway,
so at midnight, Lucy's written in video review will go up, and then Andrew, what are you doing?
I was going to write down my swear.
All right, you can do it now. All right, you're now the swear master.
oh, anyway, Lucy O'Brien from the Australian team is reviewing the game. So that'll be up. It's 12 a.m. Pacific time, Thursday.
Yeah, and then
Yeah. And then the game comes out on the 10th.
yeah, so Brian,
very exciting.
Brian, Andrew, and I recorded a 40-minute or so non-spoiler impressions episode of the game, which will go up alongside of that. So you can listen to that. It'll be up on the feed. It's like going to be episode 442.5, an auxiliary episode. We talk in depth about what we love, what we don't like so much, and so and then
Can I ask like a vague question? I've spoken to Brian about it a lot. Do you guys have like are you all of the same opinion on the game, or is it divisive for
similar.
you?
I would say very similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems
I
like-
think like a couple, like I'm probably very slightly higher than Brian, I think.
Okay.
But, yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, and then next week we'll have a full spoiler cast.
We're doing some live streams and stuff as well. Like
Yeah.
Stream streams.
I'm
Gets
excited to
pushed
play
out,
this
so-
game. I was going to play it. Brian was like, I'll take it home on Friday. I'll come by on Saturday and drop it off. You can play it all day Saturday. I was like, cool. And I was like, I'm going to play this game. And nope. Just mowed my lawn and did not play Uncharted. So that was cool. Well,
that Brian, that selfish Brian,
selfish Brian.
definitely couldn't use a win this week.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm excited to play it. I really hope I get to jump in and talk about spoilers. Like, how you see the Jeep's butt cheeks as well as Sully's, and they just rub their butt cheeks together. Call of
we
Duty's
allowed-
going to space. We were right. We guessed it. It's got gungeons.
Oh, that was that the,
Gundams.
was that the
Was that a
transition?
segue? Oh,
That was
yeah.
the segue. Sorry. Do you want your pen back? You can have your pen. Your pen.
Damn it, Max!
I'm not
there
going
you
to write
go.
down the swear.
Write down the
You have to
swears.
write down your own swear.
No, I just. You just
So
took the
Infinite
pen.
Warfare got leaked a bunch of times. I don't think it's necessarily
so many times. I don't understand how they didn't
just
catch the amount of leaks.
the Call of Duty machine is fascinating to me because there are
Maybe
so
they just
many.
don't care.
I think they partially don't care, and part of it is that there's so many moving parts, and it's like this international thing,
Yeah.
and it's so big in so many places that like, a lot of games can be like, you know what, we'll just announce 2 days early or whatever.
Yeah.
But for Call of Duty, it's like the shareholders have to know, and it makes such a big difference that I think
Yeah.
like they're just they were like whatever. I don't
Yeah.
think they weren't. No one was like. I don't think anyone in the PR team was pretending there weren't leaks, but also like they can't officially acknowledge them and all that. So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
So
But-
we had a trailer and a live stream that. I mean, I think the trailer looks pretty boring, to be perfectly honest.
I think the trailer was poorly paced. I think
Yeah.
it should have been a minute long. I think the
Definitely,
opening.
it's like 3 or 4
I think
minutes.
getting
Yeah.
an ass rock cover of a Bowie song is sort of just crass.
It wasn't even a good cover.
No, it was not a
terrible.
good cover.
And the first half
No, I
is
agree
sort
with
of
that.
just like we've seen this before. It looks a lot like Advanced
Yeah.
Warfare.
It looks a lot like Halo as well. The environments.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But then
Halo
I
3.
thought once they went to space, I thought it visually became interesting.
Yeah,
did.
That'd
Yeah.
be fun.
I
I like.
agree.
There's a part where a robot kicks over a tank, which looks pretty
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah,
Down
it's a
for
thing I'm a
that.
fan of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the game looks cool. It's interesting how, from what we've seen from the story so far, it parallels like World War II a little bit in
Yeah.
terms of like there's an attack on Earth that's almost like a Pearl Harbor, and then you're sort of hopping from. It seems like you're hopping from planet to planet or moon to moon, station to station, almost like the Pacific Front, hopping from island to island.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the game's.
Yeah, I think it was Brandon who first made that
Mm-hmm.
parallel. Is that it really does look like there's a Pearl Harbor moment, which is
Yeah, that's like the beginning of the trailer, basically.
which
Yeah.
is an interesting thing to draw inspiration from.
Yeah, and a lot of the director and the narrative designers are former Naughty Dog
Yeah.
folks who worked on Uncharted and The Last of Us, and they were talking about how they are trying to tell a compelling war story first, and then a space sci-fi thing
So
second.
that's so exciting to me because we've had, the very obvious parallels of Battlefield and Call of Duty, and Call of Duty always sells better, but Battlefield has been, a contender for however many years, basically since Battlefield 3 and Call of Duty 4, I think is when kind of this modern era started.
Which was
And,
first, Call of Duty 1 or Battlefield?
Call of Duty 4. Oh, you mean like originally?
Yeah.
Ooh, actually, I don't know.
That's a really good question.
I mean,
Yeah.
so Call of
for some reason-
Medal of Honor was before all of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So I believe it went Medal of Honor,
I think it was
Battlefield
Battlefield?
1942,
Yeah.
and Call of Duty.
Brothers in Arms is somewhere in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so weird. Like I played the first Call of Duty on my computer, and I was like, "This is fun. All right, it's like Saving
And
Private
then it
Ryan.
gets
All
played.
right." And then it was
Yeah.
just like, I kind of stopped paying attention to games for a second, and then it
Yeah.
came back, and it was like, "It's just still here." Like,
And that's
I don't know.
so that's what's interesting, and obviously Modern Warfare we'll get to in a second because the remaster potentially comes with this depending on which version you buy. But I was going to say it's really interesting to me that Infinite Warfare is going so intensely into space and space travel and kind of this like super ultra modern thing. And if the rumors are right, we're finding out what Battlefield is on Friday. But if the rumors are right, that's a World War I game, which is like
Yeah.
totally in
So
the
this
other
is- they're
direction.
legitimately centuries apart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like if that does end up being true,
That sounds
more
good to
so
me.
than ever. I'm so excited for exactly for those
Sales
games to be
should
just
be good for both of
dramatically
them.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
What other
Honestly,
shooters have we got coming this year?
Titanfall.
Titanfall
Yeah,
2.
yep.
Yeah, I mean those will be the big three. Obviously, we have Battleborn and Overwatch coming up.
When
this month.
Doom comes
Yeah.
out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, I think it's curious. We did like the last Battlefield was Hardline, and we got that side by side with what came out that year. Was that
That was
was
early.
Advanced Warfare, right? Was that the
But
same
Advanced
year?
Warfare came out in the fall, and Battlefield ended up coming out in the
Yeah.
spring.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Battlefield
So
was like March.
So it was
they're
technically the same
they're
year as Black
kinda-
Ops 3,
Yeah,
right? It
they're
was
kind
last
of
year.
doing sort of a separate thing, and I mean, one of those is like a hard-boiled cop drama, and the other two are like laser guns and rocket boots and stuff. So it's like they're kind of already drifting apart, and I'm super okay with that.
yeah,
Like,
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
prefer it that
I mean,
way.
Yeah.
I'd be super down with like a popcorn junk food, like sort of more linear, big set piece approach on the Call of Duty side, and then Battlefield being like, hey, mustard gas, how's that doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing I'm so interested to see is on Friday when they show what Battlefield 5 is, how if it is World War One, how do those mechanics exist in the game? How does gas exist in the game? How does trench warfare exist in the game? And it seems like it could be cool, but
Yeah.
I don't know anything about game design. But
My
as
gut-
of right now, I'm just like I don't know how you do that.
My gut tells me it would be take it very seriously for campaign, and then multiplayer is just a bunch of anachronistic like machine guns and all that.
I really hope they take it seriously. Like, World War One was awful. It was just so awful.
As
And
opposed to
I'm-
those other wars that were hella cool.
But I mean, if you, I feel like World War One is just the brutality of
I mean, they
people
call
just
it the Great
getting
War.
gassed,
Yeah.
and it's so awful, and I feel like
The
if
awful
they just
war.
don't paint that right, then it's gonna
Yeah.
almost be offensive.
I mean, so we always had this thing. I took a film studies class, and the teacher was really hammered home this whole concept of like proto-fascism and the fact that like there is no form of like military entertainment that's not in some way like kind of propaganda, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Like you basically,
Yeah, that's
short
how
of
it all
doing a
started,
documentary,
really.
yeah, you can't have anything that is like titillating and like exciting and like fun that is portraying something that is in real life very awful. You can't have those at the same time, you know?
I mean, Valiant Hearts again is I've mentioned that before when we've been talking about Battlefield potentially being in World War One.
Yeah,
I
but-
mean that's a story-based game, and I mean there's parts of it that are fun, but that game is about it being awful and
But
Yeah,
it's
but
also
like
so
it's
stylized.
super
Like
upsetting.
when it's photoreal, it's so different.
And like Matt
That's
said, they
true.
weren't
Yeah.
going for titillation or like sort of excitement or
Yeah.
bombastic set pieces.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, it's one of those. I don't know. Video games aren't always the most precise medium to tell a story like this. So
It's also just like, I feel like the only people who would be offended by it are veterans, and I don't imagine many veterans play Battlefield. So
it's less of a like. I don't
not gonna
think
be a huge
I'm
problem.
not going to be offended by it, but I just don't know if they could do it.
Yeah.
Which isn't an offensive. Like
that's true.
I'm
Yeah.
not offended by the content. It's just
Yeah.
like, well, I don't know if this is going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's
And I briefly mentioned it, but we should also mention that. So one of the more interesting moves with Infinite Warfare is that if you buy any of the premium editions, you're getting Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare included, remastered.
Yeah.
So
which
what's
is
going on
kind
here?
So Call of Duty 4 really started. I mean, like Call of Duty obviously existed before then, but like when Call of Duty became that powerhouse that sells as well as it does now, started with this, and that was like 2007.
multiplayer
I
shooters.
believe.
It's one of those like benchmarks where it's like there's games that came beforehand and then games that came after.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting how that inspired basically this whole generation of shooters. And it was Infinity Ward, and now it's back. And I
But
think
now
it'll
it's
be
a
really
pack-in, right?
It's a pack-in,
They're
which
not
is
selling
you
it
can't
by
buy it
itself.
separately. Which we were talking about that this morning. Like that might be because they didn't want it to outsell Infinite Warfare,
Or
which
because
is
they
really
might
interesting.
They don't want
legitimately
it to
move more
compete.
copies of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, that, and they don't want it to compete with their own game.
Yeah.
So what's like the price point for the versions that come with that?
$79.99 is the cheapest
Oh.
version you can get. That
So it's
has
$20
this
basically.
version.
So
And
yeah.
it includes 10 multiplayer maps, and we don't have a ton of details about the remaster, but just looking at the footage they showed, it's like,
Yeah.
it looks better.
Raven,
That's-
There's
who
one really weird thing about remasters where everything just looks darker.
Yeah.
Like the lighting, all the shadows just look way darker. When I was playing through the Master Chief Collection, I kept swapping to the old graphics if I couldn't see anything because I couldn't navigate. Like, and they did the same thing with COD. It's like, why is everything so dark?
Well, it's because a lot of older games were made for CRTs, which don't
True.
show blacks as deeply.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, it's always.
It's just like I find it really annoying. Like, stop making
Yeah.
everything so dark. I can't.
I was
navigate.
I was looking at the side by side of the like the graphics comparison of like Modern Warfare, and it was that thing where they're right next to each other, and there's so much going on that I was like, which is the prettier one? I can't tell. There's too much.
Yeah, it's
And
like
I'm like,
They
constantly
did add a lot of
explosions and-
stuff. There's
Yeah.
a lot of buttons added, and
I'm looking at like.
I mean, it definitely looks good though.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think that's kind of. I mean, are they charging $80 for this game? Like, that's kind of the argument there.
No, you
know?
can buy it.
You
There's
can
a
buy a
base
$60
$60 one where you just don't get Modern
No,
Warfare.
but I mean, for Modern Warfare, is this an $80 game?
No, I mean it's a
I mean,
Like, you cannot buy it on its own. You have
but
to
you
pay.
also then get a AAA
Right, but what if
2016
you don't
shooter.
want that?
Then, I mean,
You
that's
don't
your
have a
choice.
choice.
That's
I mean,
your
it's
prerogative.
weird because for
I
a
mean,
second
yeah, if
they
you don't
were-
want that, then it's an $80 game.
Yeah, the thing we were talking about for a while was like, oh, should the single player and multiplayer be sold separately?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like how do you do that? And like this is something people have been demanding. People totally want to go back and
also,
replay
let's
it.
be real. In 6 months or before the next Call of Duty, before like Black Ops 4 or whatever Sledgehammer's doing or whatever, at some point you'll be able to buy Modern Warfare separately.
Yeah.
I just
I think
think
so, too.
it doesn't make
They
sense
just
for
don't
them to
wanna
do
do
it
it
now.
yet.
And it's also
Yeah.
interesting, like we don't know how this game is going to like actually exist on your hard drive. Like, is this going to be something you need to boot up Infinite Warfare in order to enter Modern Warfare? Because otherwise, you could buy the game, download Modern Warfare, and then just sell Infinite Warfare.
Or go on eBay and someone will be selling code
Yeah.
for $30
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
interesting. So yeah,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
they also,
I doubt it's connected that closely. Like I would imagine it's a separate download, or maybe even on the disc, but it like still boots up a separate thing. But I would be so surprised. I would legitimately like. I would be very surprised if within 6 months you can't buy it separately.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Both of these are coming out November 4th. So again, fall is slowly getting more fleshed out. We also this morning found out Dishonored 2 is coming out a week later, November 11th. And there's going to be more on.
So you mean to tell me that both Activision and Bethesda are releasing games in the month of November?
video games. Yeah.
Gosh.
Very strange. Yeah.
So unlike them.
What a bunch
I'll
of
be curious to
weirdos.
see where, if like we don't know a ton of concrete information on Titanfall and like rumors and stuff, but if Titanfall is this fall, I'll also be curious to see where Battlefield falls. Because
follow-up
I've used the
question.
word fall many
Follow-up
times.
question.
lot.
If Titanfall gets delayed, does it become Titan Spring?
Damn it, Max.
Yes.
But no, I mean like
Stupid jokes.
I like that.
traditionally
Radio
Battlefield.
show on the internet.
Please, please.
Podcasting.
Traditionally, Battlefield's that October slot, and Call of Duty follows in November. But if they're pushing Titanfall against Call of Duty, I don't know what that means for Battlefield. I think that's super interesting.
Which do you like better? Do you like Battlefall or Fall of Duty?
Please leave.
I don't even want to be here. I came over from doing VO of the everything you need to know about Dark Souls 3 lore, and it was like 2 pages, single space.
Dark
of
Souls
the
expert
most
Max Scoville.
incoherent stuff I've ever
You love
read
Dark
about.
Souls.
I don't know what it means, and apparently no one else does. You have to like dig around.
No, Dark Souls has really intense lore. I mean, we
Yeah.
could get into
Yep.
that, but let's not.
Save that for the lore cast.
Yeah.
There's something called the
Dark Souls
Homeward Bone.
Yeah.
Which I just imagine like an incredible journey starring pet skeletons.
I mean, that's kind of what
Oh,
Dark
I
Souls
loved
is.
Homeward Bound.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love Pet Skeletons.
Yeah. Okay, here's something I'm excited to talk about more than anything. Spider-Man. It looks like there's rumors floating around of a new Spider-Man game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
A Marvel superhero in a video game, and
I mean, which is honestly sort of rare right now.
I really
Ever
like
since
Spider-Man.
the Avengers.
No. There was a Spider-Man game on PS4.
No, there wasn't.
Yes,
was
there absolutely
Amazing
was.
Spider-Man
The Amazing
2.
Spider-Man 2.
Oh, well, that was.
Yeah.
I mean, that was trash.
Yeah.
But it was still a game.
I mean, that was.
Well-
I'll be realistic. That was Marvel licensed Activision shovelware.
Wasn't
Like,
it also a PS3 game that was...
I think so. Probably.
to
It's
PS4?
probably
I think
on-
it was. I
Probably
mean, I
came out
played
for
it.
DS.
Yeah.
Like it's. That's what I really hate is that Activision was like, oh, we've got this incredibly valuable license. Like Deadpool was fun, but it was also like
Deadpool was super fun.
it was super fun, but it was also not a great game.
It was close to being a great game.
Exactly. And if they'd let them spend more time on it,
A little
if
bit
they
more time.
treated it like a AAA game, if
Yeah,
they treated
you're
it like a
right.
Call of Duty, it would have been incredible.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the thing was, at that point, Deadpool didn't have the cachet he does now.
Yeah,
I feel
I mean,
like if
they
that
do-
game existed now, he would.
I mean, they
but,
did
like,
this.
Yeah, you're right.
Activision
They
did the
would've
same
put more
thing.
money
Like,
into it now.
it feels like I feel like Activision treats third-party stuff kind of like the Dursleys treat Harry Potter. Like they're like, this ain't our kid. He lives under the stairs.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah. Yeah.
do the dishes.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, people will buy it, whatever. It's a name
I like the
brand,
idea
you know?
that Dudley is Call of Duty and Destiny and
Yeah.
Skylanders.
Call of Dudley.
Call of Dudley.
But I significantly remember Spider-Man 3. I played a ton of that game. Had really, really good boss fights, but
Yeah.
ever since then, I don't think.
I mean,
it's
so
been one that I
Spider-Man
liked that
2
much.
was an incredible game, and that was that game that was this amazing open world game on the PS2
Had combos,
era.
and you could swing around the city, and there was side quests,
You were
and-
grabbing side quests from people. The swinging mechanics were incredible.
2 and 3 were really good.
Yeah, totally. And then so this week, two different things formed. A listing on an actor's online resume showed that he's doing mocap for a Spider-Man game on PlayStation 4. He also has done mocap on Halo 2 Anniversary, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. So it was just untitled Spider-Man PS4 project. But then also there's this Twitter website, something called Nerd Leaks, that has a track record for getting things right, rumors right, and little diggings right. They also get things wrong, so take it with a grain of salt. But they said that what they've heard is that Sucker Punch, the developers behind Infamous and Sly Cooper, are
This
going to be
gets
working on it.
real interesting because
Yeah.
Spider-Man, the movies are owned by Sony.
Sony, yeah.
Marvel is being like, oh, we're going to take control of this, and Sony's like, okay, sure, but Sony still does have,
Rights.
a certain game console they're all
Yeah.
very fond of, and
Totally.
they've got some studios at their command that
Yeah,
have a
it's-
track record of doing superhero games. Imagine that.
Yeah, and like, I mean, like honestly, it's one of those.
Infamous style Spider-Man game.
Totally, and
Sign me up.
like between Sly Cooper and Infamous, like that's a studio that deals so heavily with like motion and fluidity
Yeah,
and like
totally fluidity.
like allowing you to control characters in a way that few other games do, and that totally makes sense. Like of any superhero I can think of, like Spider-Man has that like almost ballerina style to him that you do want that sort of control and animation. And we haven't heard anything from Sucker Punch since.
It just-
what was
man.
the Infamous DLC called? Last Light. First Light.
First Light.
First Light.
First Light.
That's the opposite of the Last Light.
Yeah,
like-
I just this, like I don't know. We can cover this written because like I just can't. I don't know what the legal gymnastics are that gets Activision's Spider-Man rights into a Sony first-party studio. Like that is such
Yeah.
a.
Yep.
I just can't imagine this being real. And it's like I would love to be wrong, but it's just I don't know how
How
Sucker
that
Punch
works.
could be doing this.
Yeah.
Like I also don't know why Sony would take someone in their
It's-
first party
it's a-
stable and put them on a licensed game.
I mean, it's a veritable civil war of various license holders.
I mean, you say licensed game like in a pejorative term, which I totally get, but if done right, Batman's a licensed game.
Sure, no, I don't even mean to say it in a pejorative term. I more mean that Sony doesn't own that IP.
Yeah, it's
so
just
it's
to
like
get
it's more
sticky.
like if they make the best Spider-Man game of all time, can they make a sequel to it? Like that's kind of where it gets complicated. But yeah, I mean, totally. I think like the fantasy of it, like that pedigree of Infamous and of Sly,
It kinda sounds
being in a
perfect.
Spider-Man game
Yeah.
sounds incredible.
Yeah.
But I don't
But
know.
I
I just don't know
agree
what that
that
looks like.
legally that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
When you think about who owns what.
I think,
Why would
man,
they
it
do
is
that?
so easy to imagine though, like just like the abilities you have in Infamous being applied to like what Spider-Man can do, even just in like it's not even just movement so much as like what combat would look like from enemies, even.
totally,
Like,
yeah.
it would be so cool.
Yeah.
I would love to be wrong and love to see this happen.
And it's funny,
I just want some new Marvel
I
games.
also
Yeah.
hope you're wrong, Andrew.
I mean, yeah, I know. I generally hope you're wrong. But yeah, I mean, it's funny since the MCU existed. I guess we had a Captain America first
The
Avenger
movie, yeah.
game that was sort of like
It was fine.
It was fine. They just took everything from Arkham Asylum
Yeah.
and it played exactly like that. But since everything's blown up with the Avengers, like we haven't had a game in the MCU like a proper like a console game. There were those prototypes of a first person game where like you could
would've been
swap between
trash.
Iron Man. Oh
That
yeah,
looked
totally.
awful.
It was
Yeah,
like
we
Iron Man.
haven't,
and
yeah,
Hulk.
aside from that, we haven't had like an MCU game.
No, absolutely.
We've just
Yeah.
had side stuff.
I mean,
so.
Yeah.
there's
mobile
Disney
games.
Infinity, which is
Yeah,
I
Disney
guess that's
Infinity
yeah.
games.
As-
I guess it's not fair to
Yeah.
discount that.
yeah, but I mean that's exciting. I guess I just like I mean I love Disney Infinity, I love the Lego stuff, but like I'd really just like to see like an Arkham Knight quality, Arkham City quality Marvel game.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that said, like, I love the Arkham games so much. I actually don't care about a Spider-Man game or even an Avengers game being tied to the MCU.
Oh no, totally.
Like, I feel like I would prefer it if it wasn't tied to the MCU.
Well, especially
Because
like
then they also
Arkham's
have
not
that-
tied to the movies.
No,
and
not
it's
at all.
incredible.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
kind of better than the movies.
Yes, totally. Because
And
you don't
then
have to answer to that.
Yeah, and then it also has the issue of like voice actors not being consistent, which is
Yeah.
really frustrating, and that really let down
Lego. Yeah.
Marvel's Avengers. That was like some awkward, weird chunks that had bad mixing taken from the movies were put into the game, and it was really restricting more than anything. So I think it's better for creativity and for voice acting to not have to tie it to the movies.
Yeah, completely agree.
Basically, I just want Arkham City and Arkham Asylum versions of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down for that. Do we have to talk about this? Mighty Number 9. Hi everybody, it's 2016.
Should we just let Andrew do this one?
It's almost the 3-year anniversary of when Mighty Number 9's Kickstarter launched.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, like, honestly, we don't have to spend too much time on this, but I'm just like, this was the second Kickstarter I ever remember writing about. Like, it has been 3 years,
Yeah.
and that is crazy. The second video game Kickstarter, I should say. Like, I don't know, like, this now comes out on the same day as No Man's Sky, which is like, this is a game that no one has really
R.I.P.
thought that much about versus a game with, like, more hype behind it than almost anything else coming out this year. I just don't know. I don't know what Deep Silver is thinking with Mighty Number 9 at this point. Like, it amazes me this game wasn't canceled a year ago, to be totally honest. I don't know. I will be very curious to see how this game does. I backed it because I was excited for it. What we've seen seems really cool. Like, I want that Mega Man style game. But man, did I want it like 2.5 years ago more than I do now. You know, especially with so many smart indie games in between now and then. Like, the indie scene is taking off in such a way that, like, they're really smart platformers. They're really smart, like, just cool sprite-based games. There's so many things that are out there that just have filled this need.
Yeah, there's that term that gets thrown around, which is really just awful, which is, lazy developers. And I don't think that applies here, but I think there's definitely been some bad business.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't
time
know.
management as much as
I just don't
anything,
know.
yeah.
I don't know, like, if it's just a matter of, like, too many cooks spoil the broth, or was just trying to be too perfect or something. But, like, especially with something, I feel like it got funded because it did seem so achievable. Like, when people come out and they're like, we're going to make this awesome open world MMO, like Star Citizen, for instance. Like, that's an incredibly, massively huge, modern, ambitious game, which is getting done. It's also sort of like, has that still in the works? This is taking a formula that's proven. It's just basically making more Mega Man with, and with new graphics.
And that's what people want, though, right?
Yeah, and like I don't know what the holdup is.
Yeah, and like especially like it's dumb, but like I really wanted to play this on Vita, if anything, and that version is still
Hasn't
not
that just
dated.
been pushed to kind of later? They didn't
Well,
actually
yeah.
say...
Vita and 3DS are later.
Just nebulously later.
that could
think-
be forever
I think there's
away.
literally a chance it never comes out.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially like on Vita, which is super crappy.
I'm like really conflicted on commenting about Kickstarters because on one hand, we don't know what's happening, and on the other hand, it sucks for the people who spent money. But I think when you back something, you have to go in being like, I'm backing an idea. I'm not buying a product.
See, I
ding,
agree
ding,
with
ding.
that,
Yeah.
except that
Yep.
there's a major publisher on this game now. Like that's the
So
thing
that's when it gets weird.
That's
Yeah.
where it gets weird.
That's why this is different than like one of the Double Fine games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and
we're
it's like
seeing-
there are plenty of Kickstarter games that are like, yeah, they're managed by people who don't know what they're doing. So ultimately, it's like, oh, we bit off more than we could chew.
Also,
I mean,
when
it
you get a
still
major
started
publisher
like that, right?
involved.
It still started out that way.
I mean, yeah, sort of. Like, Concept is still someone who has worked with, like, I don't know. It's like, I back a lot of Kickstarters, and I'm sympathetic to that. I think the creator of Mega Man, who has probably worked with arguably almost every major publisher should know
have
better.
experience to know better.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's also like last year at E3, it's like Concept is in Armature working on Recore. Like
Yeah.
Inafune is working on this. It's like, well, okay, this is a really cool 3D robot, whatever the hell it is game, but what about that other thing we gave you money for 2 years ago?
And the
Yeah.
other Kickstarter that he did, which
Yeah,
was
the-
for
the-
yet
the
the
one, the
other
Mega Man Legends one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it just there have been. God, like you talk about just doing too much at once. It's like people talk about like Telltale, for example, is like 9 projects in the works at once, but at least they come out and at least we like see them eventually. Like this
Yeah.
is just such a frustrating case of like we've seen little bits and pieces here and there, but I've never in the 3 years since this game was announced at PAX, there's never been a moment where I really had a grasp of what it was and actually felt like it was coming out. And that sucks. It's like I put money into this, you know, and it's like it's a very just a weird, frustrating situation.
So how would you parallel that to like The Last Guardian or Beyond Good and Evil 2?
At least those games, I mean, those are disastrous developments too in some
The
ways.
only
but-
person who put money towards that is the company making it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think
That's
it's
the thing that
entirely
sucks.
it is deceptive to take like to. I mean, Kickstarter as a
So
platform,
it
I
is
think
literally that people funded it that makes it different. But
I think it's also
still,
In my eyes,
it's tricky
yeah.
with games
Yeah.
too because it is like it's an incredibly iterative process to make a game, and it's also like it's not a known quantity. I mean, you saw this with Tim Schafer, who took a while to make Broken Age,
Yeah,
but
and
like
split it in half.
came
Love
out
Broken Age.
Yep.
and it was gorgeous, but it was also like, hey, we're doing an old school, LucasArts style point and click adventure game. That's what it is. We've got some ideas for it, but like it's not like you say that, and immediately people are going to start making up their own idea of what that game is.
That's true.
Yep.
And the Comedy Button came from Kickstarter. Like we funded that on there, and like we got people who were like, "This isn't what I thought it would be. It's
And
different."
they're
It's like,
mad. Yeah, I think
I mean-
there's a Kickstarter culture is
Yeah.
very odd because people fund something and then think that they're a stakeholder, but that's not actually what it is. Like
No.
to be
Yeah.
a stakeholder, you've got to be doing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of funding, not $10 for
Yeah.
a pre-order. So it's totally different, and I don't know how much. Like with Mighty Number 9, they consider community input.
And I
or
mean,
if at
they
all.
made $3.8 million on this Kickstarter.
Yeah, so that's
3
like
years
there's
ago.
no way
Yeah.
that all
Yeah.
of the backers are ever going to agree on.
And that's
everything.
the thing. Plus, Deep Silver, because they have their own business interests, took pre-orders on a collector's edition that has nothing to do with this. So it's
also,
like those orders.
let's do the math here very quickly for a second. Kickstarter is going to take, I think it's 5 or 10%. Taxes are going to take about 30, 40 at least.
Mm-hmm.
That's $1 million
You're
a
at
year
like 2 million.
spread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spread out over the course of 3 years. It doesn't
Not
matter
that much money.
Yeah.
No.
So
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not
Yeah.
even talking about budget. Like this is
Yeah.
probably not even enough to make the game. That I totally agree with. But what I'm saying is, this is regardless of how much Concept gets or anything, even if this is 3.8 million $1 backers, that's still that much money that has just been nebulously out there in the world. With
Yeah.
no reward for these people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's my bigger problem. And like I don't normally like
Yeah, and the
I used to
thing is-
disagree about Kickstarter stuff all the time because
But
I
mean,
love
if
Kickstarter.
If they
and
have tiers, like that's why it's so conflicting. Is like they have tiers. That's what people paid for. That's something that you listed there. So therefore, you should fulfill it.
yeah, and none of that has been fulfilled. Like
Yeah,
that's
and that's the terrible part.
I love Kickstarter as a platform because it. If you look at just the terminology, like kickstarting something, like you're taking something and you're giving it a pushing start and it's going, and that works a lot better when it's a simple concept, not something like a game. Because making a game, it's not. You can kickstart a motorcycle and then it'll drive for a little bit, but then it will run out of gas because
Yeah.
that's how that works because it's a very complex thing. Whereas if you kick a ball, it's going to go as far as it goes.
I mean, and that's the thing is if someone's car breaks down and 5 people get behind it to give it a push to get it started again.
That's called Patreon.
Well, just because you got to give it a push, you don't own that car. That's not your car.
Yeah.
That's still the driver's
you walk
car.
by,
And
you
that's-
walk by a dude in the subway station who's playing the accordion, and you give him a dollar. He does not owe you an album,
No,
But if he makes
he
an
does
album,
if he
then-
says, "Hey, if you give me $1, I'm going to give you an album."
Exactly.
Yeah,
like
that's
that,
the
and
point.
that's the difference.
They're
And like this
promising
is
something.
It is a
And
mentality.
what I-
If you, like Patreon is an entirely different platform because it totally is rooted in the idea of like supporting
The
people
patron,
who.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you're helping. You're patronizing these people. You're
Yeah.
you're backing them. You're not backing them, but you're like, you're not an investor. You're
funding
And it's
the
also
arts.
like
Yeah.
that.
You're
It's
just
that
a-
fundamental idea of like Kickstarter shouldn't be used to pre-order. Like that's just not what it should be.
I agree,
And like the
yeah.
frustrating thing is
That's
what I
the
started
problem.
saying earlier is that Deep Silver accepted pre-orders for literally nothing to do with this Kickstarter edition of the game. That other people now are waiting for something they pre-ordered that's also been delayed. Those orders are definitely going to be fulfilled before Kickstarter people
Yeah.
and like this stuff is so nebulous. Like if you look back, I keep pointing at my screen, which people watching the video
Literally,
version are
we
like,
can't
what?
see it either. Andrew.
But no, it's like the tiers of this, all these like a retro style manual and a physical box and like a documentary series and all these things. Literally none of this has ever been seen in 3 years. They did an episode 0 of the documentary at one point, but it's like none of this stuff has been delivered whatsoever, and that's so crazy to me because like it might be the most egregious example of a majorly backed Kickstarter that has just gone nowhere and fizzled out.
It's the I would say no matter what they put out, it will not be justified.
Yeah, and that's just crazy to me. And like it's interesting because this week the co-creators of Doom put out a Kickstarter and they had no gameplay to show. They had no prototype. They had no anything, and they started making tens of thousands of dollars, but they pulled the plug because they didn't have the minimum requirements to launch a Kickstarter. And so now it's much more stringent than it was in 2013.
Yeah, it's hard for me. So
I don't have a problem with the 3 years thing. Like if the thing is kickstarted and it takes 3 years, like we don't know what's going on. I think that's okay. I think if you're promising people tiers for backing a certain thing, that you should fulfill those. But the biggest problem with this entire Kickstarter, or the entirety of Mighty No. 9, including on Deep Silver's behalf, is just the communication has been terrible. They need to fix that.
It was so good.
Haven't.
It was so good with Double Fine. They literally had a documentary series that was like, hey, this is an episode about how we're all having nervous breakdowns because development is so hard.
Yeah.
Like it was very obvious where my money. That remains one of the few games, that and Yooka-Laylee, that I backed.
Yeah,
Yooka-Laylee's the only Kickstarter game I backed.
And so it's one of those, like, I totally get this and I totally understand, but like to me, I still can't get too mad at the idea of a crowdfunded Kickstarter thing because
I think that's it.
It gave me Broken Age, it gave us Shovel Knight, it's hopefully going to give us Yooka-Laylee.
Yep.
And if those 3 games exist and then there's 100 failures aside from that, I'm still fine with the fact that those 3 games exist because of this platform.
I agree with every word. Like, and to be crystal clear, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I love Kickstarter. I will continue to back games on Kickstarter. I think some great things have come from Kickstarter. This specific Kickstarter sucks. Like, this has been a disaster
but again,
through and through.
It is just the communication that sucks, right?
I mean, yes, but it's honestly, it's partially the communication, but it's also like, I'm very skeptical that 80% of these rewards will ever be delivered. I think people will get the game when it's done.
Yeah.
I really don't like Fangamer was involved in doing a lot of the physical rewards, and I am friends with a lot of those guys. I love Fangamer. I think they create really cool stuff. Again, I'm skeptical that they will even be given the resources they need to create the physical boxes and the T-shirts and like all of the things that are listed here.
In a weird way, $3 million is not enough money.
Exactly.
No, and that's what Double Fine, part of that documentary is them figuring out that a ton of the backing things about sending out posters and shirts and stuff, like, holy crap, that's expensive.
Yeah.
And they didn't realize that because that was uncharted waters then.
It's so like stupid. There was a day when Brian and I were just in his old apartment just signing photos for hours, and it sucks, and it sounds like the biggest, most like prima donna complaint, but like we're like,
you guys
oh man,
had like a successful Kickstarter, right?
We did it before it was
And
cool,
it
before Double Fine. Then it was like, holy crap, we made like it felt like Office Space. Like it felt like when we set that up, we were like, we need $6,000 to buy microphones and recording equipment so we can make a podcast for fun. And then we made $39,000, like, and we're like, holy crap, what do we do with that? And like, to be totally crystal clear about that, to steal your cool terminology you just said a second ago.
Yeah.
I saw $200 of that. Like we got pizza for 2 years, and we got vodka, and we made a podcast. But like that money disappears very fast.
Yeah.
It does not. It looks like a lot on paper, but it's totally not what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And like getting T-shirts printed and mailing, like the act of physically moving an object across the globe. Like if you got someone backing you in Australia or something.
Super
no offense.
expensive.
Yeah. Costs a
offended
fortune.
by
No
it.
offense. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say.
You didn't
I didn't mean to make fun of the
your home
shipping to your
I'm
country.
so offended.
My grandfather started shipping.
Sorry,
across
I'm sorry the
Pacific.
ocean is so large.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm scrolling through these stretch goals, and I don't know. I'll be amazed if we see half of this stuff.
That being
It's
said,
a
also to be
bummer.
fair, you did buy $10,000 bottles of vodka. It
We
was
got
very
one. We
fancy
got one
Yeah, you
very
should note
huge
that.
vodka,
Yeah.
and then we had to rent out a building to keep it inside of, so that the bums wouldn't go in and drink it all.
Yeah, I mean, this is the announcement says it's coming to PS4, Xbox One, Wii U, and PC. The stretch goals on this Kickstarter are for PS3 360 versions, for Vita 3DS versions. Like it's been a long time, right? And the landscape has changed, and I kind of wish they would just openly acknowledge it and maybe offer a refund to people or whatever. But
Again,
I do think
it's
that
communication. They just should address it, and they're not at all. And so everyone's confused and frustrated. And I understand both sides. I understand the development is harder than it seems, and that money doesn't go as far as it seems. But I also understand people were promised something that they haven't even slightly seen.
And also, this isn't Deep Silver's mess. Like, they joined way after
No.
this Kickstarter was a thing. So
Yeah,
it's like,
but
I can see why
You
they...
marry someone who has a lot of debt, you inherit their debt.
Yeah, sure. And I think that's part of it is
That's
that...
true.
That's why
I
I
just-
just don't fall in love.
If you marry a dead
Don't
woman
get
with a lot of
married.
debt, you're a
It's,
monster.
That is true.
Yeah.
Why'd you
Or
marry a dead woman?
What if you're also dead though?
There's The
Then it's
Corpse
fine.
Bride, starring Tim Burton,
He
directed
didn't
by
star
Johnny
that.
Depp.
But I like how we started this segment with Max being like, "Do we have to talk about this?" And then we
And then
spoke
it was
about it
like
for
a really good
20 minutes.
conversation.
That was a trash fire. All right, so Dishonored 2 coming out November
Oh, we
11th. We
already did
mentioned
this.
that.
We already
Did we
did
talk
that.
about it? We say we're going to reveal the gameplay. What kind of animal are you going to possess this time around? Oh, I also have a cute story for you guys. I'm sure you all know about it because we work together.
Oh, no.
So Brian's out of the office
yeah.
for a while. I showed up work today, and on his desk there was an empty coffee cup that had a cockroach trapped inside it. So I went in the kitchen and I got a little jar and I got some tape and I covered up the top and I took a tiny bit of oatmeal and threw it in there. I took the roach and I put it in there, poked some air holes in the top, and I wrote Brian Jr. So now I have a replacement Brian for 2 weeks.
He's gonna be gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and a
Oh.
cockroach will totally survive in a jar off a dabble of oatmeal for 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
I have a pet at work and at home. They're regular animals at home. It's
I feel
just
like a lot of
roach and
people
a-
are really upset
I'm
about
very
it.
happy for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, a lot
I'm
of
totally
people
fine
keep
with it.
walking by his desk and being like, ugh.
It's in the
Even
thing.
describing it, I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's kind of cute, honestly. Like I don't like roaches and they're running around, but it's got like its little antennas and it's like cute. It looks like the
They're just very
what's that?
germy.
What's that cockroach from Wall-E? Is that it? He has a cockroach friend. Doesn't he have a cockroach
I don't
friend?
know if
Because
it's
he
named.
lives in filth.
Aren't you thinking of ants?
No,
With a Z?
that's a
yeah.
different animal.
Oh, you're thinking of A Bug's Life.
Bug's Life.
I don't like A Bug's Life.
I mean,
I feel like I ate a lot of those fruit snacks in like 1999, but man, I did not like that film.
Yeah. I
All
mean,
right, so moving on. There's a Persona. Here's what it says: Persona 5 stream Thursday. Marty, don't delete this one.
Andrew, take it away.
Wow, I wonder who put this in.
I just wanted to super briefly mention that there's this like weirdly a big pre-E3 week. Like we got Call of Duty yesterday, we got Dawn of War today.
Dawn of War?
Persona 5 on Thursday and Battlefield on Friday. So it's just like it's an exciting. I don't know. Like I love this time of year. I love that like stuff is coming and yeah, this is the first major Persona 5 update since TGS.
What do you think? Do you hear any rumors? What are we gonna get from the stream? Are we gonna get gameplay? Is there gonna be a cat?
Oh yeah, I think we'll get gameplay. I wonder if we'll get a US date. I don't know. I go back and forth. Like they've already said it's not a worldwide launch, so I think maybe we get a Japanese date. And
I still think this game isn't coming out this year in America.
I agree. Yeah, I
lots
think
of Persona
especially
fans would love a
given-
Japanese date.
Damn it, Matt. Yeah, I my guess is because of Final Fantasy, especially they pushed
Stop
the
it.
spring.
Stop. No, stop loving your own joke.
I just want to entertain myself over here while we're talking about Persona.
Yeah, but if this does, I mean, one of those things when we were talking about how fall is shaping up, like we're all these games are being dated with a grain of salt. Like,
Yeah.
We've worked
like-
in the games industry for a long enough time to know that something's going to slip. Like everything, like things get dated.
How
and
about
then,
Uncharted 4, huh?
Yeah, seriously, it slipped. No. It just kept slipping. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these games, even if they are, it's like, oh, it's coming out October, whatever. Like, not necessarily.
Push, yep.
Yeah.
I think there's some that I'm super confident. Like I'm confident Final Fantasy hits that date.
Oh,
I'm confident. Like
I mean,
think
Call of
obviously
Duty will
Call of
always
Duty.
hit that date, yeah.
But I do think there's like some of those more nebulous things that like we're assuming are fall that maybe will.
I mean,
be.
I think we keep talking about how do Titanfall and Battlefield exist in the same fall. Maybe they don't.
Yeah.
Like maybe EA doesn't release two competitive shooters. Granted, if one is World War I and one is future robots, like those
They're pretty
aren't necessarily. Yeah, but maybe they don't do that. Maybe, I mean, Ubisoft has a handful of games that we think are coming out this fall, but they probably all won't.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if we see all of those. Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, we didn't put it in here, but there was a Watch Dogs 2 supposed image of the or alleged image of the protagonist leak today, and like I don't know, like if that
What do you
game's
look
really
like?
this year.
Not Aiden Pierce.
What do
Yeah.
you look
yeah,
like?
not
He was a-
Aiden Pierce.
he was
Aiden
a-
Pierce
he
is
was
one
a
of the
black
worst
hipster.
protagonists ever.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Sort of like the opposite of Aiden Pierce.
Yeah.
He's just like a crappy tech bro.
Yeah, he was a dude with glasses.
I'd rather play as a crappy tech bro than a awful trench coat dad. Just a sports dad with his weird scarf.
Wait,
Who are
was
you
that the
referring
same
to?
people?
No,
Yeah, you were
I'm
saying-
we were
I'm
making
saying
fun of Aiden as
Pierce
well.
is a tech bro.
Oh, is he?
We're
I mean, I
agreeing.
was thinking like it
I
was
think
a-
we can all agree that anyone with the last name Pierce is just not to be trusted.
Terrible people.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got some cool stuff to talk about right now.
Oh, before we go on to
Bubble Fire.
Fire. Also, two games coming out this week on PSN are The Park, which I reviewed. By the time this is up, my review is up. I gave it a 7. It's a pretty cool 90-minute first-person spooky game where you wander about. You can't die in the game, so don't worry about that.
Just spooky?
Yeah, it's spooky.
Some
It's a little
spooks?
bit like it's got spooks in it. It's got a couple spooks. Yeah, it's a little bit like Gone Home.
But instead
meets-
of going home, you went to the park.
yeah, you go to
Yeah.
You can never
Gone
go.
park?
You can never go park again. Pretty scary. It's not great. Doesn't have a ton of new ideas, but for if you like scary stuff for 90 minutes,
I'm excited about all these other new games similar to Gone Homes and the park, such as down to the store and at the DMV.
Yeah, and
You can never
there's
go
a crick.
store again.
You can't die there either.
You can never go store.
Running around at the crick.
You never go full store.
Wow. We got a cool present in the mail from Ryan Heatman, who lives in South Wales, and said that we give him lots of stuff to listen to with our weird noises that we make, and he sent some of his weird noises, which was vinyl records. He's got a band called Forest. It's Forest, and you can find them at forestsw.bandcamp.com. There's some cool rock and roll music, so
And
go check
on
those
that
guys
note,
out.
Those were 2 R's.
Yeah, 2 R's.
2 R's.
Yeah.
R. It's like George rating Rainbow Martin.
Nailed it. On that note, we're thinking about doing like mail bags on the Beyond.
Finally, bags for
YouTube.
men.
Well, God damn it! This is terrible. So if you ever want to send anything to us that we can,
We would love
unbox,
masculine satchels with which to carry about our various goods and sundries.
It gets tough.
It's very.
I know, it's frustrating.
For years, men have been forced to use boxes, and we demand bags as well. What?
What?
I would like a gunny sack.
You can send stuff that you might like us to open to
625
2nd Street, San Francisco.
4th floor.
Floor 4. And
Care of
attention,
any of us.
attention beyond, or to any of us
94107.
individually, so we can open stuff. Maybe
Also,
once
so
a
There's a
month.
full address.
Yeah, we're thinking of doing one of the.
I mean, if you Google IGN San
Yeah.
Francisco, you'll find it.
now that we have.
Also, leave us some Yelp reviews if you can. I'd love that people start leaving IGN some reviews. Yeah,
Can you?
Can you?
Probably. I think you can leave reviews for like prisons and highways. You can leave reviews for Yelp reviews for bus lines in San Francisco.
Wow.
And people will be like 2
Yeah,
out
but
of
they
5
offer a
smells like
service.
pee.
Yeah.
They all offer services. We don't really
Oh
offer
yeah,
a
you
service.
can totally.
I mean,
You can?
jails offer services, but they're not really like people don't really want them. You know,
Yeah, I
we
mean,
have
people
some
who
reviews, that's
don't
cool.
want criminals.
like
on the
jail
street.
is like a restaurant or a hotel that you send people to when you don't like them. You know, like.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You know, that's not like someone's like, oh, where's a good place to eat? Oh, look, it's San Quentin. Let's try that place. Let's check the Yelp reviews. Wow.
There are only 3, and they're all 5 stars.
Apparently, we
did
cost
it.
hundreds
The
of dollars.
internet hasn't found this corner.
So head over to
positive place on the internet.
head over to IGN Entertainment on Yelp.com and leave us a nice review. So if we ever
Next
gave
week, that's gonna
if
be
you
terrible.
Ever, if we gave one of your games a review you don't like, go and
Actually, wait.
pay us back.
They have to wait 2 more years because there are perfectly reviews in 2008, 2012, and then 2016. So we have to wait until
Oh, it's an every
2020
4-year
for the
thing.
next.
So it's
Yeah.
like a baby cicada.
Yeah.
It only comes out every 2 years.
But yes, in terms of that mailbag, we're going to be doing probably monthly one-off episodes. We're not doing fewer regular episodes, but we'll do one-off ones that will be
Extra stuff.
Yeah, they'll live on our YouTube channel, our new
Which
Beyond
is
YouTube channel.
YouTube.com/IGN Beyond. We actually today, after it being up for I think like just on a week, hit 6,000 subscribers already, which is
Cool.
awesome.
Nice.
And I know Marty and I have both been jumping in comments and actually reading every single comment that's on there and replying to people, so you can chat
Some of
to
them
us
were
there.
hurtful initially, so
It's getting better.
I hope.
and,
No, it's a much more positive.
It's a lot more
place
positive than it was when it was on the YouTube main channel, which
Yeah.
we kind of should mention. Like a lot of people didn't understand why we did it. It was because the main IGN YouTube channel just had so much stuff, and the podcast's a totally different format to everything else that we publish. It was also hard for people to find the podcast and differentiate between a breakout and a feature, so it makes more sense for all of the podcasts
Yeah.
to live on their
Yeah,
own
I
channel.
mean,
also,
our
we're
main-
totally copying Kind of Funny
Yeah.
in making a YouTube channel for a designated purpose. Bunch of big old rip-off artists, the scam losers of the...
I feel like we should mention that that's sarcasm.
I'm
Some
joking.
people
It's a
say
joke.
that.
Sorry. Sarcasm. It's
I
only
mean-
Kind of Funny.
It
What?
goes without saying that.
Why we laughed? Why'd you yell what at us?
It was like a nervous laugh. You just got like beads of sweat on your forehead.
yeah, because there's a man with a gun over there. Also, this room's very hot.
it's a
It's very
camera
hot.
and there's no man.
What am I looking at? But yeah, I mean, yeah, we removed it because most of the millions of people who subscribe to the IGN main channel want to watch trailers and gameplay clips.
Yeah, they don't
And-
want to watch the podcast.
Yeah,
or the
totally.
podcast
And so-
format. Like, there would be comments of people being like, "Oh, it's really crappy that you guys don't look at the camera. Why don't you introduce yourselves at the start?" And you're like, they don't understand this is podcast format.
Yeah.
So I think it makes a lot more sense to have it on a separate channel, which is why
Yeah.
we've done that. If you have any questions about it, again, Marty and I have both been in the comments a bunch. Happy to answer those.
Yeah, and it's totally a work in progress. We're figuring out how to differentiate breakouts from full episodes. We're figuring out
Yeah.
what order to put stuff
Yeah.
in.
So any feedback is good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have
And,
any questions or comments about the food at IGN, you can find me on Yelp message boards. I'm going to be replying to stuff on there.
Damn
and
it, Max.
Yeah.
I'm still on Twitter.
I'll
Find me
just
on
have you know
Twitter.
that as an establishment, we cannot have any bad reviews removed unless establishment pays us because we're
that how that works?
No,
I forget how
no,
that. You have to pay them. I don't know. Yelp is a mystery.
It's also rapid fire time.
No, it's
and
Burpo Fire.
Burpo
We
Fire time
legally cannot call it rapid fire unless
when
Brian's not here.
But we also thought that we can take some questions for rapid fire
Sure.
on YouTube now too. So.
Yeah.
All right. Boopity boppity, it's me, your favorite Italian guy named Brian Altano, and here's
Yo,
a question.
chorizo.
Hey, I'm making a sauce. Joshua Richardson says,
Margarita.
favorite city in the U.S. besides San Francisco, and then world? That's two questions.
Not San Francisco. Mine's New York City.
Concrete jungle where dreams are made of?
It's the one.
Yeah.
Concrete jungle, wet dream tomato.
Oh, concrete bunghole.
It's a good correction.
Wet dream tomato.
Mine is Chicago.
Mine is a city that I can't remember. Anchorage in Alaska.
Sounds memorable.
It's very
Who could
nice.
forget that once the one? It's got the.
I got it.
They tie up
It's
the boats
Anchorage.
there. What do you
sure
call
it's
it?
Duxton.
Ducktown, USA.
Mine actually is San Francisco though.
Really?
I love
Aw.
the city.
Oh,
The
that's
first
sweet.
time I was here, I was like, I want to live here one
San,
day.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, San Francisco proper,
I kind of
beautiful city.
despite a lot of its awfulness, is magical.
Yeah.
I just love how
Like, I
small it
still get-
is,
yeah.
and it's contained, and it feels so much like Sydney. Honestly, like it feels a lot more like an Australian
Yeah,
city.
every
than
time I
any
leave
other
for a
city.
couple weeks and then come back, like I'm like, oh, this is why I'm here.
It's the
Yeah.
below the iceberg stuff that I don't like about San Francisco. Like when you're
yes.
walking around,
the
it's like
Morlocks?
yeah, like the creatures who live underground. No, it's like I
tunnel
love
wizards.
San Francisco. I think is incredible on the surface. It's like more of the economic stuff happening here, and
Yeah.
like all the,
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean,
the bigger problems aren't on the surface.
Favorite city in the world? I mean, I haven't been to that many places, but Tokyo. Like that's kind
God, I
of
wanna
that's
go
a
there.
cheap question answer. I love San Francisco a lot. I also love Cambridge. I grew up there. That's kind of a little like suburb of Boston. It's where Harvard is, where MIT is. It's just like it's cool because it's super old, but it's also like very like high tech at the same time. So I don't know. I need to travel more. I'm going to Berlin and Crete. So
My number one place that I want to visit is Berlin. That's my number one.
I'm
Berlin's
super
awesome.
stoked for Berlin.
But
yeah.
of the places I have visited in the world so far, like I've been to Europe a couple of times, but I still think that Alaska is like just my favorite place on the planet.
You're so weird.
It's so cool.
You're so weird.
I think
Have
my
you been
number
there?
one
No.
I
No
one
want to
has.
visit.
It's amazing.
is
My
Barcelona.
buddy's parents moved to Alaska, and I want to go visit.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
The Northern Lights, incredible.
Yeah.
What's Alana's favorite state? I don't know. Alaska. All right.
Oh my God! what has that
yeah.
cockroach done to you?
I probably have
They actually mind melded.
brain spores. Sergio Gonzalez says, anyone going to the midnight opening of Civil War, and what are your expectations? Or any? I've already seen it.
Shut
Shut up! I literally don't want to hear a thing.
I went and saw it.
We're going at 10:45 on Thursday.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Put it this way, I really had to pee when it was over
Oh, so you didn't leave? to
because
pee,
I
is that what
didn't
you
go.
said?
Also, I was. Yeah, I mean that doesn't really say much.
Well, now
Were
I
you
know about
drinking a
Max's
lot?
bladder.
yeah, I had like a
Civil
tall
War.
boy before him. You know.
Yeah, so we're going to, I think us three are going to the same session.
Yeah.
Bringing my dad.
Thursday night.
Very
Very
excited because he's currently visiting San
Has he
Francisco.
seen the other ones?
Nope.
All right.
So
Interesting to see how that
why
goes.
are you gonna? Why?
Why not?
I mean,
It's also a really cool movie theater.
it's
So
the
he's got-
15th
it's a
movie in
cool
a
movie.
series.
Why not though?
I
He's
think
not
he'll do
gonna have
just
fun with
fine.
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
if
Also,
you
it's
want
like
him to
it's a bunch
spend-
of people beating each other up. He'll be just fine.
I mean,
It's
if
not-
you-
he's not going to be like,
not
who
expecting
are
it to be
these people?
complicated.
Like, it'll
If
be
you want him
fine.
to spend 3 hours being confused in San Francisco, just take him to the Tenderloin. Like, there's
where I
also
live.
people beating each other up there
I
too.
don't
so.
think it's going to be that hard for him to follow.
David Pham, what is the most time you've ever spent on a game? Can include MMOs. Doesn't have to just be single player.
I mean, it's weird because it doesn't get measured well enough because a lot of the games I've spent the most time on are like when I was a kid, I would replay games like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
In terms of like, I think I've said this before, my longest like single save file for a game is Fallout 3 on 360. I have
Oh,
like
yeah,
300
dude.
hours in or
Yeah.
something. But I may have put more hours into like A Link to the Past
And you
or
just wouldn't know.
Earthbound or
Yeah,
like
over and over.
across all those saves.
I mean,
yeah.
most recently, I think mine would actually be Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I had a lot of time in that. Fallout as well, and a lot of time in the original Gears of War.
I had a lot of time in Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hate Gearbox.
I don't hate your box.
Yeah, I feel like all of mine were probably when I was in college when college was super easy and I just had a ton of time to play games.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I remember the PS2 era especially, it was Final Fantasy 12, Okami, and Kingdom Hearts 2 are three I remember. Like, I feel like all of them I clocked over 60, 70 hours.
Yeah, I've like replayed so many games on different systems and just like I played Fallout. I think the first 1.5 times on a PC and then switched over to 360. So like my save file didn't really count for anything. It feels like I
Yeah.
played a lot of that.
I used to play it so that when you had the Game of the Year edition, you would get a trophy if you you got to a certain level on like bad, neutral, and good, whatever the rankings actually were. So I would reload saves all the time and then get to that next level like by like murdering a bunch of people, and that's how I'd get the XP.
Or you just give that one dude water until he's like,
all three of them.
I'm not thirsty anymore, but you're a very nice person.
Yeah, just that man sitting outside Megaton.
Yeah.
Give him so much water.
Wait,
I gave him so much water.
Does he die of water poisoning? Like the woman
No,
with
it's
the
purified water.
Yeah, it's purified.
He doesn't like it if you give him the bad
If you
water.
have too much water, you can die. Like the woman with the Wii. Hold your Wii for the Wii, and she died.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we probably killed that man, Andrew.
Oh, thanks.
There's that.
Die anyways. Fallout. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how many times I've like started replaying Link to the Past and how many times I've finished it on various systems. So you know, it's kind of tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Timothy Ralph Weisenhunt says, "Do you miss Mitch? Hell yeah,
Yeah.
totally."
Yeah.
Still talk to Mitch pretty much every day. I would think all of us do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were
when
Andrew and I were playing Uncharted on Sunday, and we just like Mitch just called and we were just catching up, and every once in a while Andrew and I'd be like, "Oh man," he's like, you got to give me some sort of context, guys.
That's my new song.
that-
Matthew
is it
Santamaria. I just had a total brain fart. I'm like
It's
really,
the cockroach. That's
I'm like
because
really,
you swap places with the cockroach.
Yeah. What if it took over my brain and it just found me eating trash more than usual? Oh, on that note, here's a relevant question. Matthew Santamaria says, favorite drunk food? Trash.
Actual
Oh,
garbage.
just
probably
anything.
Falafel.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
you're a big falafel guy.
Meat pies.
Or, I mean, realistically, pizza.
I mean, pizza and
Also
pizza and
McDonald's.
burritos are pretty
Yeah,
high up there.
burritos can be good.
It's really good.
If I'm too drunk, there's no world I'm going to get through a burrito.
There's a really good sandwich place next to Jack Club.
Yes.
Burritos are too messy.
Yes.
Also, the sandwich place next to
Burritos
Jackalope
are
is
too
also
messy?
too messy. If you
What do
eat
you-
those when you're
That's
drunk,
why.
it's just
That's
like,
why I ate the second
Oh,
half.
that's why you stole half my
A
sandwich
burrito
at
is
one time?
not too messy. You don't undo the whole tinfoil thing. You peel it
Oh
up.
yeah.
Well,
do you do the thing
you
where you
clearly
take it
haven't
entirely
met
out?
Drunk Alana.
Oh no, that thing was no, dude. When I
Fine,
first came to San
sandwiches.
Francisco, I ate it by completely unwrapping the whole thing. And I
Yeah.
was just like scolded by
No,
people.
that's
Yeah.
a pro
It was
tip.
really dumb.
It's just you make sure it's wrapped in tinfoil and you just unpeel it slowly. And it's actually a really good drunk food because if you don't finish the whole thing, then you like
Have
put
it
it down and
next
Seal
forget
back
it.
up.
And you wake up and you're like, oh, cool, free burrito for
Although
breakfast.
I've also seen drunk people like being not careful enough with peeling back that foil, and they chew on some foil, and then they're drunk and sad and have foil in their mouth. So don't do that either.
Yeah.
Oh, the big three.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a tricky
Yeah.
one. Zach Carlson, favorite Childish Gambino song?
Freaks and geeks.
Freaks and Geeks.
mean,
Or
yeah.
Sweatpants.
Sweatpants is real good.
Or Crawl.
Crawl's really good.
Bonfire.
3005 is really
3005 is a good song.
good. The Worst Guys is really good.
The theme song
Black
to
Faces is
Mystery
a very
Team.
good song.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Theme song, yeah. Theme song to Mystery Team.
I don't know. All of them?
All of them are really good.
Probably the
Biblioteca from Community, does that count?
Wait, do we, know, we
Biblioteca.
can't say the thing. He was almost in a game.
No, we cannot say that.
Okay, we can't say that.
What?
Probably
I
can't
heard
even say
about
that.
I could, okay, I could say he was almost in a game.
He was almost in the Derek Comedy spelling bee game.
Yep.
Derek
Telltale
Comedy
presents-
Yeah, Derek Comedy teaches.
What if they would have made a
teaches
Mystery
spelling.
Team game? Have
That
you seen
would've been
Mystery
awesome.
Team?
I love
It's
Mystery Team.
incredible. Have you seen Mystery Team? You should watch that movie. It's real good.
Yeah.
Yep. Kelly Kemper's in it. Now it's seen in.
So for those of you, I don't know who missed this.
Catch it on Netflix.
Childish Gambino is Donald Glover's rap name. Donald Glover from Community, and I don't know where people don't know now.
It's also like totally my favorite, maybe artist in general.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I
also
like
just-
hardcore music and Childish Gambino. That's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Just those two things.
Leonardo Cowabunga Talavera says, "Can I get a happy birthday? 21 today."
No.
Shots.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Good luck.
Can I
with
play
that?
that? I should have had the Happy Birthday song queued up.
We're not allowed to
Damn
play
it.
that.
Oh, wait,
Legally, we
we can't
cannot
sing
play
it.
that happy birthday
Yeah.
song. There's a fun song. It's if you search Disney happy birthday song, it's one. It's about like it's about singing about a bunch of different animals doing stuff. It's
Yeah.
real weird.
People who wanna
It's
do
not a
something
good
special
song.
One
for
of the
you.
lyrics is, I want to do something
For
special
you.
for you, which we've
Special in
adapted
you.
to in you and
Or
on you.
Whoa, I
And
never
to
heard
you.
of
Oh, yeah,
in you. In you
Yeah, that
before
was
you
new.
got
That
rid of-
happened today. Yeah.
Yikes.
I mean, it's
That's
really
alright.
just
Do
it's really just
something.
dirty across the board.
On
So
you is my favorite one.
those are your recommendations for just going and check out that bad birthday song. It's a real bad one. I'm glad that they finally killed that old woman who had the copyrights to the birthdays, and now they don't have to sue them
Isn't that
anymore.
Michael Jackson?
Probably.
That
No,
old
it's
woman?
Sarah Beth's
Yeah.
birthday.
Sarah
She owned the
McLachlan.
rights.
Oh, she was from all that.
Sarah McLachlan's animals all escaped from their cages, and they bit her legs until she died.
Yeah. In the arms of an angel.
A true story. The Sarah McLachlan story. Thank you all for joining us. Oh my God. All right, so Podcast Beyond. If you want to email us cool questions and stuff that we sometimes answer on here, it's just beyond@ign.com. And if you want to join in for the fun of Rapid Fire, that's at facebook.com/group/podcast beyond. And be sure to check
Oh,
out
you can do it on the YouTube channel.
I was just getting to that, Alana. Who
Oh,
will
Max,
not be
what is it
appearing
like to
on
be
this-
interrupted?
I don't know. You should listen to the first 200 episodes of the Comedy Button, where I'm very familiar with that concept.
I miss Brian.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, go to our YouTube channel, and yeah, then that's it. That's all of it.
Wow.
That's all.
Hey Max, what's the URL of that YouTube channel?
Facebook.com/group/podcastbeyond.
YouTube.com/IGN Beyond.
I don't know. I've got to go write an article about Kylo Ren.
Why do you have keys? Why
I
did
don't
you
know.
get your keys?
I gotta go get in my car and write.
I can only write in my car.
I gotta go pick up my dog from daycare. I don't even have a car.
Dirty dog.
What? Huh?
Is Pepper's at daycare?
Sometimes I do
he
take
at
Peppers at
daycare
daycare. Actually, one of the men at the daycare is a Beyond listener. So
That's cool. So is that guy
Ernie?
at Buca de
I
Beppo?
forget your name.
Yeah, there was a guy at one of
Yeah.
the waiters at Buca de Beppo.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
Oh yeah.
I'm very embarrassed that
Yeah.
he's seen us there twice.
My Uber driver at 3 a.m. last week.
Yeah, in Vegas, we got a drink at the mall where you bought your shirt, and the bartender there to us.
So shout out to all those people.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like
Guy
Fight
at
Club.
Target
It's real weird.
Gave me a discount on TV. That was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jeff, who I used to work with, who listens to the show.
Shout out to Cisco,
Shout out
as
to my
always.
mom.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cisco. Hey, Cisco.
What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys want to go do other stuff
We
now?
don't have
or-
shout outs.
I don't know.
Definitely
shout
my
outs?
mom.
Yeah.
The entire country of Australia.
country?
There's someone in that country you don't like.
Country and continent.
Huh? I thought Oceania
Yeah.
was a continent.
I can name one.
You can name one
You
what?
can name one?
Yeah.
You can name one what?
A person I don't like in Australia? I don't know why I'm like, tell me. Like, surely there's plenty. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you lived there until you were 21.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure there's
Yes.
someone you dislike.
yep.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
everybody.
glad we've done our weekly
I could definitely name
shout-outs.
3 people you dislike in America.
3 people.
It's
It's the three of us.
Oh, it's
of
the
us.
3 of you. Yeah, no, you're totally
Oh,
right.
yeah. I thought you were talking about Brian Jr., my cockroach friend.
Well, I'm not a huge fan of Brian Jr. either, but
I love that I'm just hoarding vermin at my desk. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
we're
You
done?
can find
Oh,
us
good day.
on Twitter. Alana is at Char Alanazard. Marty is at